So then,
welcome to yet again the DataStream podcast. This time we're in the third part of our series looking at Star Trek.
not just Star Trek. If you don't like Star Trek, which a lot of people don't be dissuaded, because we have some Doctor Who coming up and some video gaming stuff and John's updates, whatever that entails.
I was going to say, this is the third part in our series discussing three aspects of Star Trek, which are interesting as we're going to combine them. Previously we've talked about Star Trek fan films and Star Trek games. Today we're going to be combining them both together to get Machinima, if I pronounce that correctly.
Well, I always said Machinima. It's quite a complex
and
word.
we'll also be looking at the 11th Doctor's final hour, as it's the time of the Doctor in a small town called Christmas. But first, a couple of quick updates. The DataStream podcast, as some of you will be seeing, we tend to do it on video on YouTube. But you can now also listen to us with audio downloads through the DataStream website, which is jfmsn.co.uk/datastream. And you'll soon be able to access these through other podcasting services. Continuing on with more news. More... if I get my words right. More Elite Forces on the way as well, through our brand new gaming site portal, where we're going to be hosting our future events. Starbase, Station Omega, which is stationomega.net. If you want to sign up there, you can find all the new information about our next set
I've signed
of
up.
Elite Force
it's
games.
good. I can say as a third party, it's good. It's a good site. It's nice.
Are you technically part of this thing though? So actually, you're just, you know.
It's the community site that backs into all of this as well. The next Elite Force event will be taking place in February, and we're also planning on launching Mod Night as well as part of that, so everyone gets to have a go with the multiplayer mods. So, let's talk Machinima, or whatever. So, Luke, would you like to give us a quick introduction into what it is?
Which look?
Me, presumably.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's basically, a lot of people have different, a varying, I don't know, some people think it's one thing, other people think it's something else. Essentially, Machinima is using video games and video game assets to create a film, or a video, or in some cases a series of videos. So it's either something that's been recorded in a game and given music and voiceovers and a storyline, or it might be something where it's literally just the sound effects being ripped out of the game's directory or music, or they're just used as backgrounds. The environments of the video game are used as backgrounds to a live action or an animated film. So that's your basic definition. It's a film made out of video games. John?
Well, we've got a clip kindly given to us by you, which should illustrate what it actually is. So, roll VT.
We've discovered that the economy of the Bajor sector is in crisis.
They say the best thing about this place is you never know what will happen next. DS9 was a strategic post during the Dominion War. The final attack on Cardassia was launched from here.
That was over 10 years ago. I'm going to hope things are a bit more peaceful now.
Earth and much of the Federation solved the problems of poverty and class centuries ago.
I think sometimes we forget that the rest of the galaxy isn't as advanced as us.
Have you dyed your hair? Yeah, but I'm going back blonde soon. It's more me.
Jimba, talk to me.
The Odyssey will be in dock for at least 2 weeks, Admiral. Maybe a little longer for the refit.
Not to mention the structural damage.
Just do your best. Get our girl back in action.
Dude, I thought I was your girl.
The wormhole.
It's awesome, Lewis. This is so cool. I was really missing out by being on Crescon, wasn't I? You really were.
Aye, that's half the reason there's a Federation presence here. That wormhole leads to the Gamma Quadrant of the galaxy, 70,000 light years away.
I used to read stories about Captain Sisko's missions when I was younger. Now I don't feel any excitement being here.
I've only been here a few hours and the infirmary is already full of civilians who can't afford private treatment.
Chov is right. This space recession or whatever is affecting a lot of people.
Indeed. It seems the fat of the land is being absorbed by those who already have too much.
I can command starships, I can battle alien invaders, but solve the financial problems of the society? This is going to be interesting.
That showed, what was it? Star Trek Online, among others, as your backgrounds?
Well, yeah, I mean, essentially, that's a live-action film, and we acted in front of a green screen, and instead of putting something that was animated ourselves as the background, we used a clip. Yes, that was from the video game Star Trek Online. So what I'll do is I'll pause the character in a certain place, take a demo reel of the footage of the gameplay that was happening, and then I can go back into the editor of the game, the demo record editor, and maneuver the camera into the positions I want. So I can essentially just get the environment shots that I want, which are appropriate to what I have recorded the green screen, and then we can key it in, and it shows us walking past some shops and that sort of thing. And
I use the exact same thing with this behind me. This is also Star Trek Online, and a green screen.
There were a couple of other bits. The airlock, the background for that was taken because the airlocks on Star Trek Online are not quite right, they're not quite canon. I looked at... They're very big as well because it's an MMO. I got the background from Star Trek Deep Space Nine Harbinger. One of the clips from that has an airlock scene, and that was canon. So I used that as the background for that shot. And then we go up to the operations centre where the girls were. That is all actually background photographs from the set of Deep Space Nine's operations centre. So that's legitimate. But for the scene where we come up in the lift, there wasn't an appropriate photo to use as a backdrop for that. So I took a clip from Star Trek Online in Ops for that. So it's a mishmash of things, and a lot of Machinima work is that, because you're picking the right bits for the right moment. And sometimes you do need to fake it a bit.
And in other times in your production of Star Trek Unity, which we're using as an example here, you've used other elements such as the characters Borg being an example.
Yeah. Well, in Elite Force 2, I would use the level editor to create a yellow background, because that was the only colour that I could work with properly. Because
Borg liking green.
Well, the green, I don't think I couldn't find the right colour for the green background, so I used yellow because yellow's quite contrasting with black, which is the predominant colour of the Borg that I used. And then what I'll do is I'll take a screen capture of that as video, put it into the editing program, key out the yellow, add a few lighting effects and like weapon effects, and there you have Borg walking towards you in the scene that I want it to be in, rather than the yellow background. Yeah.
And you've also created a fully set of episodes that were based fully within a game as well.
A few years ago I did create 2 episodes of Unity, or rather a sub-series of Unity, set in the same location with the same characters as the live action, so we had the actual people voicing their Machinima characters. And I did 2 episodes of that, but it wasn't particularly successful in some aspects because at the time I didn't have the capability to edit it as well as I would now. And in addition, I think the problem with doing something like that is it's more time consuming than acting for real life, right? You can get in front of the camera, you can, if you've got a script ready, you can tell your cast what to do, they'll do it how you want it because you're directing them. It's in the can, you put it in straight into the editing program.
Yeah.
With Machinima, if you're doing it all inside a program, you're going to have to block out exactly where you want the camera to be in the environment, exactly how you want the characters to move. If you're only one person doing it, as I was, you have to do all the characters and movements at the same time, which means you have to use camera tricks to make it look as though everyone's running at the same time. multiplayer is good for this because you can get friends involved to act out the other people's movements, but it is very difficult. And then you've got to edit it and add effects and add the voiceovers. So people who do machinima, some people would say, oh, it's cheating because you're using assets someone else has made and you're sort of twisting them and warping them to make your own storyline in your own, you're using their assets for your gain, essentially. And some people don't like machinima. It also doesn't look as real as live action, obviously. But I think that it is a testament to how skilled some filmmakers are, because they put in time and effort to do this. And it has varying levels of success. There's a Halo machinima series called Red and Blue, and it's highly successful. It's had several spin-offs. It's got dozens of episodes, and that was originally all recorded inside a Halo multiplayer map. And it was literally 4 or 5 guys just running around pretending to be doing certain things whilst another player was the camera and just recording the screen. So for all its ease in several aspects, and for all its, you can customize it quite a lot. If you go out into the real world and you want a hedge that looks a certain way, then sometimes you might struggle to find the right location. But with machinima, you can just find the right thing.
So for purposes of background, it's a very useful tool.
Yeah, I find it most useful as backgrounds, but the more skilled filmmakers out there certainly can use it as a storytelling device in itself, and that's something that absolutely people should love.
Let's touch on some of the other ones. Now, one of the ones you've watched and come across is Star Trek Borg.
Yeah, I mean, Luke, have you watched Star Trek Borg? Have you seen that?
Are you meaning Borg War or the actual game Star Trek Borg?
Borg War.
Well, the Borg War, yeah.
Borg War, yes, I've seen Borg War. I saw it a few years ago. It's I do like it. It's a little dodgy sometimes, I must say, but it's quite good. Some of the movements are a bit jerky and things like that, but and sort of using stuff from already in Elite Force 2, such as the Archaeopendra and things like that. So it's okay.
One interesting thing about that is the audio is all from the game and sources, and all cut together to create all the script.
So it does sound a little unnatural sometimes, but I do like it. It's good. It's just seeing some of the characters, like Picard wearing a weird uniform and things like that. It's a bit strange, but I do like it.
Yeah, I think it would have been more successful had it been set in the, as just another episode of Star Trek The Next Generation or something. They set it several years after, and that's why they have the changes in uniforms and to account for some of the inconsistencies. But I think it would have been more successful trying to be a little more on Star Trek's own terms. But I like it. It does have some flaws, but I think what's quite good is they did create more or less completely new storyline out of the voiceovers and the assets that was already in Elite Force 2. I think it's quite impressive to go through all those lines of dialogue and redo them so they mean something else. That is quite impressive.
And it's got quite a good runtime as well, hasn't it?
So yeah, it's well over an hour, isn't it?
It's about 10 parts or something.
Yeah, it's a very. I think it's quite impressive. It's not my kind of thing in several respects. The same with Luke. It's quite inconsistent. It's a bit jarring at times, and you can recognise the pieces of audio being cut and slashed at different moments. But other than that, good attempt.
And if you want to have a watch of Borg War, it's available in several parts to watch on YouTube, and a link is included within the description for this data stream.
What I seem to remember about the YouTube one is recent. I don't know if they fixed it or not, but the audio was about 4 minutes out of sync or something, which was really strange.
Yeah, that was on the first part of it, I believe, on the YouTube.
Yes,
YouTube has been known to warp audio.
There is also a direct download where you can get the whole thing. I believe that's on Elite Force 5.
Yeah, that's on the website.
Yeah.
So, another interesting one, which you guys might not be familiar with, which I found to be an extremely good piece of machinima, which was based on Elite Force 2, was Star Trek's Silverado.
Yes, I do know of this. It's been a long time since I've watched it. John, you can probably tell us more.
Yes, Star Trek is a sort of novel spin-off sort of group of writers who create stories. Star Trek Silverado is a complete set of series. I think they've got about 4 series and quite a good number of stories in each one. And that's usually just text that you read. But the guy who was writing it, Brennan Hurst, or Hurst, or something along those lines.
Pronunciation is not our strong point today, is it?
No, it's not. But anyway, he decided he wanted to produce a video edition. So, using Elite Force 2, he created all the sets for his ship, the Silverado, well, USS Silverado, which is an Ambassador-class starship that has been refitted in the Nemesis era. So it's got all the modern stuff. And because he was the writer of the sort of text scripts, you got all the characters there in all their quite normal stuff. But this time they're all voiced, and you've got modified or brand new models for all of them. Some you can see the original things, such as Commander Noonan was a slight modification of the Monroe skin, I believe. I'm trying to remember it. He was just made a bit greyer. But if you ever read the stories, you'll understand why he's grey. It's quite interesting. And yes, these are all put together, and again, this is a series you can watch on YouTube. Very nicely put together. Sound effects, all of those things. I think it's actually, in a way, nicer than Borg War because it has a script written for it, and it's got all the nice audio. And actually, the animation that he's been managed to get out of Elite Force 2 is very nice. Even to the point, there's a water pistol in there that works quite well.
Was some of that supplemented by editing, though?
Yes, I believe some of it was added in afterwards, but
you just want a little bit of that, don't you? When you're making something in Machinima, it's always good to add a little something going on in the background that you can just sort of have out of focus, or indeed things that you can't do inside the game engine. It's not too jarring sometimes just to have like a little, like you said, a squirt of a water pistol or something like that.
But I think those 3, Unity, Borg War and Silverado, are our 3 main ones we've actually come across. They're not some
Star Trek, yes, there are several other ones out there.
Yeah.
I mean, the big one, of course, is for Gary's mod and Team Fortress 2. There's a lot.
Those are the big Star Trek ones.
Yeah.
I don't think Machinima, as sort of the level that Borg War and Zerato do it, are as popular as more the live-action fan films. Like you
the live action
is
obviously going to garner a bit more.
Those sort.
Yeah, no, live action is also going to garner a bit more praise and a bit more attention because it's real people and obviously you engage.
I think it sort of seems like it's there's almost more of an effort put in with live action. But I do really enjoy some of the Team Fortress 2 Gary's mod videos. I must admit, the creepy, weird ones, the sort of really strange ones, I really enjoy those ones.
Yeah.
But that's actually probably the main Machinimas I currently watch, just sort of whenever. But I've seen your Unity Machinima a couple of years ago, and of course I've seen Borg War as well. But it's more sort of the Gary's mod videos that I stick to.
Well, Unity Games does give people easy access to some special effects, doesn't it?
Gary's mod's a good program for doing that. It's just quite easy to get into and manipulate stuff. I suppose Elite Force 2 and games like that are older and harder to access. With mods and everything like that. So it's a bit trickier. But yeah, I think Gary's mod's a good program.
makes you wonder if we're going to see any more Star Trek Machinima appear. Although Silverado might be making a return, I believe. There are...
What, in its Machinima form?
Yeah, there could potentially be another, because the guy behind it has had to go some other software that is supposedly easier and could produce an episode quicker. So that is something we're definitely going to have to watch and wait and see if something happens, because it will certainly be worth a watch. So, shall we move on to some more temporal happenings recently?
Sure.
So, yes, over Christmas we had the exit of the 11th Doctor, Matt Smith, and the introduction of the next Doctor, Peter Capaldi. In his big exit, the Time of the Doctor, where we visit a small planet with a town called Christmas. Luke, would you like to start off with the trigger angry opinion?
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Okay. I'll start off by saying it was good. The 50th anniversary, however, was better than the Time of the Doctor. I think the main problem with it was probably just the pacing of it was a bit off at some points. Maybe if it had been a bit longer or something. I do like what Stephen Moffat does with trying to make the Doctor seem more like a sort of a figure from a fairy tale. You know, how he sort of protects the village and is friends with all the children and all of that. I like all of that. And there is... what I probably preferred about this to David Tennant's Regeneration back in 2009 is it wasn't sort of focusing on death and just leaving everything behind. It was making us, at the end of it, when the Doctor regenerated, we wanted to see what was going to happen next, rather than just sort of David Tennant upsetting everyone for leaving. So yeah. That's what I think was probably better about that, because it wasn't a focus. Stephen Moffat has made it that it's not focused on death, it's change. And I think it was quite good fun. But as I said, the pacing was a bit off and the length was a bit funny. And I think the answers to some of the mysteries over the series were satisfactory, some more than others, I suppose. What I wasn't quite as keen on was the fact that the silence were just sort of designed by the church. Because I think they were really effective and creepy in Series 6, but I think they're a bit sort of, What I did like was how the Daleks were kind of... They beat everyone else, and then they got to the Doctor. Like in the Pandorica Opens and everything like that, when the Daleks would team up with everyone else rather than just killing all of them, that's quite frustrating. But I just liked how they were kind of the main ones. But it was good. They were just... I'll just say the 50th anniversary was better, and it should probably just be a bit longer. The pacing should have been a bit, I don't know, different. Because we kind of felt sometimes that there was... it was required, because of the time limit, it was required to have a narration by Orla Brady's character, Tasha Lem. When the Doctor's saying at the time, we just have to sort of take her word for it. So, that's what I kind of think. I did like all of the monsters, I suppose. And it was good. I liked it.
Interesting to see a wooden Cyberman with a flamethrower, though.
Yeah, I wasn't too sure. I wasn't too sure how the Doctor actually beat him, so if it doesn't work on wood, is Moffat trying to make it seem like the Doctor has a big influence? That was a bit weird.
Yes, but how could you have a flamethrower made entirely of wood? There has to be some metallic components in there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he would be on fire.
Yeah. I like the wooden Cyberman, that was cool.
Luke?
It was the third part to the Doctor trilogy, really, wasn't it? You had the Name of the Doctor, the Day of the Doctor, the Night of the Doctor minisode, and the Time of the Doctor. And all of them answer a lot of questions about the show's history, and they celebrate a lot about this show's history, whilst very consciously, that's the word, very consciously moving forward. He's finding Gallifrey. That's his new mission. I hope it lasts another 50 years. I don't want him in somewhere in Series 8 to be like, Oh, I found it.
Well, there's something. We were, during the time of the Doctor, we had this moment where the giant crack appeared across the sky.
Good to see it back again.
Well, it was a moment where this new arc that appeared last episode could be over already. That could open more and Gallifrey returns. But
I mean, that's a tragic thing, because he's just found out about this at the end of the Day of the Doctor, and here he is. He's got an opportunity to bring the Time Lords back, bring his people back, and everything could be okay, right? And it's taken away from him simply because he cannot let them return whilst all the races of the universe are up there, ready to shoot them down. Yeah, and no, I thought it was a good episode.
Well, I kind of think you first.
No, go on.
What kind of irked me a little bit was the Doctor walks out, the Daleks are shouting at him, and they don't fire at him for ages and ages, just long enough for that crack to appear. You know, it's just like, you're required, Doctor, you know, and then he just sort of stands there.
You are required, Doctor.
Yeah, and it's just he stands there, sort of going, "Don't have anything up my sleeve," and this crack.
Yeah. The Daleks haven't exterminated anyone on screen since Series 5.
They have caused quite a few explosions, though.
Yeah, but they've not any. The skeleton extermination has not appeared since Series 5, and no one on screen has been shot by the Daleks since Series 5, which I think is a bit. The Daleks, the big danger of the Daleks is that you have them too often, and they don't have as much of an impact anymore, right? The Daleks have got to be a little bit scary. They are pepper pots, but they've got to be a little bit scary. You've at least got to give them a threat value in an episode. And I think that in both the Day of the Doctor and the Time of the Doctor, they had that. They had a bit. They were a threat, right? But the problem is, if they're just going to be trundling around, shooting out,
yelling at everyone,
they're going to be stormtroopers from Star Wars. You don't want them to be stormtroopers from Star Wars. You don't want them to be laughable. You want them to kill some random people. You want them to kill a little girl who you've only just met in that episode, and you think, "Oh, she's sweet. She's dead." That is good emotional
Maybe
impact.
it costs too much to exterminate someone.
Well, hang on. To
Even
be fair,
if they don't do the skeleton effect, they can have someone get shot and die, can't they? They can have someone
in the
shot
Time of the
and
Doctor.
collapse.
Well,
Sorry, in the Day of the
they did
Doctor.
shoot David Tennant, didn't they? Or is that the one you refer
Yes.
to?
That was long before Series 5, though.
They hang on. In the Day of the Doctor, though, they did sort of those flying things did kind of shoot up the town, and people went flying, I suppose. But I know what you mean. They were just
No, it was a great scene. It is a great scene, and it is like got enough explosions to satisfy me. Don't get me wrong, but it seems a little bit incidental. That's all. And you're quite right. When he's standing in the bell tower, it's a great scene where he's raging against death.
Yeah.
You know, much like David Tennant did, but in a different way. And the Daleks are right there. The Saucer's right there, like 10 meters above him. All these flying things are trying to shoot him, and they don't even hit him once. They sort of blow up a bit of the church roof or something.
I think to sort of balance out my argument from earlier, I think they were probably they started attacking the villagers, and they were probably doing that because he had nothing up his sleeve, and they were just trying to show him that he was helpless. But I think even though Stephen Moffat's trying to do this fairy tale character thing again, even though that's fine, we're talking Doctor Who here, and we're talking the Daleks. You know, I mean, do that at the same time. Make the last thing the Doctor sees somebody getting shot or something, you know, rather than just sort of procrastinating and shouting for ages.
Yeah. No, I like the speeches, and I do really like the fairy tale aspect in some ways. But you can go too far with it. The other problem I had with this episode, I'm going to say again, I liked it very much. I thought it was a good exit for Matt Smith, right? I think it was a little bit overloaded, but we'll go back to that. My other problem was Clara did nothing.
She got sent home twice as well.
Sorry?
She got sent home twice.
Yeah, a bit repetitive. That whole Christmas dinner thing, that was a nice scene with her grandma. That was nice. Apart from that, completely useless, nothing to do. All Clara did was be there for the Doctor, and that is important. he does need someone to stop him. But all the other companions would have contributed to the plot a bit more rather than basically being sent home twice. That's a bit of a kick in the balls, actually. Pardon the non-gender specific pun there, because she didn't do anything, and yet she's supposed to be quite a strong female companion. We've seen Struggle, we've seen Oath, we've seen Donna. They would have done something else. They would have picked up a gun and started firing at Daleks. They would have done something other than pine over the Doctor a little more than even Rose did. And it's a shame because Jenna Coleman's a great actress, but she's wasted on this in this character in so many ways.
I didn't really think about that, but that's probably what's missing. Yeah.
If you took away Clara, practically
No
nothing
difference.
of that plot would have changed. She spoke to the Time Lords at the end to beg them to give him, to help him. But that was about it. Apart from that, she was worrying about Christmas dinner and having a date, and the naked gag was pretty boring after a while. What are the Weeping Angels in there? They were there for about a second, and then they did nothing.
To be honest,
Where do they all vanish to?
Well, to
Well,
be perfectly honest, I am glad it wasn't more than 10 seconds. They were good in the bit that they had, but any more and it will turn into another Flesh and Stone, which is what we do not want.
Their first outing is really their best outing.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy
Their
it.
subsequent uses are a bit... They've lost their touch.
Well, literally, because they were
Angel
touching Clara and didn't send her back in time. No, I think that, their first outing was good. They were quite good in the Angels Take Manhattan. I quite liked them in that. I thought they were a credible threat in that.
I didn't like the
Flesh and
cherubs.
Stone... Sorry?
I wasn't so keen on the cherubs in that one.
Well, they didn't have anything to do. They were just giggling. They're sort of like mini angels. They didn't have a special anything to them. Yeah, that was a bit wasted. That Flesh and Stone's not a terrible episode, but again, I think that's their big.
That's what killed them. I think that's the episode that killed them because we see one of them move at the end, and I want to pretend that didn't happen, but it's the fact that it's so slow, and it's like Stephen Moffat would probably say something like, "Oh, it's just waking up" or something like that. But I mean, it's supposed to be like that, and it's got you, and it just sort of goes, I wasn't so keen on that.
I thought that did, yeah. It was. And
in the Angels Take Manhattan, it was a bit annoying with the Statue of Liberty and everything. And Stephen Moffat's excuse for that was that the angels can do many things to you, jump in your brain, confuse you, and things like that. And I just think that he's ruined them by making them too complicated. Because they're not simple anymore. In Blink, they're scary. If they touch you, your life is finished. You
see, Stephen Moffat comes with great monster ideas because that is such a simple idea. If you blink, you're dead, right? It's a great scary childhood concept. That is the same with the silence. The silence are if you turn away, when you're not looking at them, you forget them, right? It's all about perception, and Stephen Moffat's really good at that. The problem with the silence, as you said earlier, is that they get sort of retroactively retconned into being something weaker than they actually are, or rather than they should be. The silence, I'm glad they were in the Time of the Doctor, and they did need to be in it to sort of bring that entire era and the loose ends to a close. And I think he did do that pretty much. He did.
And it also explained the breakaway group as well.
Yeah, although that's rubbish. I mean, that is very much, but they did this in this episode. I'll just say they were like rebels. That's not good. But I mean, he explained it all. Whether we are satisfied by those answers, that's up to us. But he did end speculation really with that. That said, I think it's good because Peter Capaldi does need a fresh start. Certainly.
It was such a Stephen Moffat moment, and I'm a bit shocked at first. It was like Matt Smith's gone, and it just so sudden. But then when I watched it again, I do like it. It's really funny how he just sort of appears. He's like, and sort of looking a bit dazed and confused. That was good. I quite like the regeneration as well.
Yeah.
Oh, he should have.
He's sort of like he sneezes and he's suddenly Peter Capaldi.
Yeah, I mean,
his entrance was a little odd, but
I could hear
we'll get to
over
there in a
music,
moment.
It's the first time I've ever
Well,
had a
he
problem.
said his-
Everyone complains about the music, but I've never had a problem until then.
His regeneration, he said it was taking a bit longer anyway, so that kind of explains it, yeah. And we know that Stephen Moffat's not ditched in sort of gold dust because we've seen John Hurt regenerating normally. So,
Yeah.
But I think I didn't like it. I just wish Matt Smith had said Geronimo one last time.
Did he
that's
not?
The only thing. No, he just sort of.
But then when Tennant went, I thought he should say Alonzi, but
Oh yeah.
and he did in the episode. But I thought as one of the last things he should say that. No, I thought it was a good regeneration. I like that they did the big explosive stuff, and that's great. I like that very much. And you know, he destroyed the Daleks with it, and that's brilliant. But I also like they went with something a little bit different, but still the same. It wasn't a different process. It wasn't a different special effect. It was just a quick one. It was like, whoa, that was good. It was good to mix it up a little bit.
It was a shock, but it was such a sort of. You can imagine Stephen Moffat just sort of going, now, how will I do this regeneration? Sort of giggling or sort of writing it down.
Yeah. No, I thought it was good. I think he did well there. I thought he did a really good final scene for Matt. Matt plays it beautifully. Good to see Karen Gillan back again. Just enough of her. Just enough of her. No, I'm glad she was in it. I think it was appropriate she was in it. Just enough of her, not too gratuitous, like, oh, Amy. You know?
Yeah.
That wouldn't have been good. I think it was played just right. As
First person he saw, last person.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much. I know he looks at Clara.
He closes the book.
Yeah. Very fairy tale regeneration. And then you're straight into it with Peter Capaldi, and it's completely different, right? The scene changes immediately.
Here's something interesting. It's since well, where do we get the? I think it's since Matt Smith we've ended up with these. Whenever he regenerates or has a sudden comeback, it's body parts, it's legs, kidneys. It's a little odd. It reminds me of something that I wasn't quite expecting the kidneys, because that does sort of amplify the something the War Doctor said about midlife crisis becoming kids.
Yeah,
it doesn't seem a real great first thing. Kidneys, I don't like the colour.
I think it was fun.
I didn't mind that.
A lot of the doctors have commented on their body parts as their first lines. David Tennant did indeed with teeth. I've got new teeth.
Yes, that's where it started from, I think, then.
And I think and Russell T Davies wrote that. And I think it's fun, because you've just changed your body. You're going to notice it a bit. I mean, some people say... Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people would probably comment on that, even if they're alone. They'd be like, oh, okay. And you'd want to check that it was all still there, wouldn't you? I mean, some of those regenerations, a bit violent.
Yeah, I mean, and of course, Chris Eccleston, when he first changed, probably commented on his ears. And then, although I wonder if Peter Capaldi will ask if he's ginger or not. That's the next thing.
Well, I think that joke was overdone, as it was, really.
So, the time of the Doctor and the change of a face to another. What do we think we're going to see in the next set? Because we're slated to have Doctor Who return to our screens in autumn.
I have heard... Well, first of all, I'm a bit annoyed that it's in autumn, but fair enough. I have heard that, just a rumour, that the first episode might be a two-parter with the Daleks.
The first episode is being filmed now. It's not a two-parter. It is set in Victorian times. It's with the Strax, Vastra, and all that.
Oh,
where
right.
it's got Daleks in it, I don't know, but I would hope not, because the Daleks have been in it very recently.
I thought that too, but just bringing my thing to the table.
Yeah. No, they started filming this week. The first publicity image of them has been revealed. He's still wearing Matt's gear for now, which looks quite good on him, actually. It's nice to see an older Doctor again. It's nice to see a sort of like a
I think that's what the show needs. I think that's what the show needs. Yeah.
Something that's not quite.
It will
as
definitely
overblown.
be interesting to see how it all plays out as the series begins.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
the problem with some of Matt's episodes he's a brilliant doctor, he's an eccentric doctor, so he's younger, he's sort of flying around the place, like twiddling his fingers around and everything. But I think some writers, such as in episodes like The Power of Three, for example, sort of really overdid this to sort of cringe, sort of a cringing level, you know, that sort of annoying. Because I really don't like it in like Power of Three when he gets his heart back and he goes, "Oh, welcome back, Lefty." You know, I think that's a bit far. And he's just sort of, you know, I wasn't, and also in Dinosaurs on a Spaceship as well is a bit sort of how he's so eccentric and you know.
That's been played up the past series. That's been played up the past series. In Series 5, it was probably... I'd say Matt Smith's done better performances as he's gone on, but those sort of moments have also increased. I think generally the 11th Doctor in Series 5 is pretty much where we'd want to have him, really. He has got a lot more eccentric as time's gone on, especially in Series 7. Because that's, you know, Power of Three and Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, both Series 7. And I don't like it, no. I think it's a bit too silly. It's making a point. It's like he's trying to make a point to everyone that he is wacky and that. And you only want a little bit.
Yeah, we get it already, yeah.
Yeah, you only want a little bit. Yeah, we get it, you're weird.
I think I think Matt Smith's best series is I actually think Series 6. I think definitely the first part of Series 6 is the best. I like 5 completely. It's a stable series and it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like 5 the more I see it.
It's not especially like brilliant. There's nothing particularly new in it, but it was stable. There were good stories, and I was satisfied with it by the end of it. But I think 6 was good because of I really like the opening 2-parter.
Yeah.
It was a shame there wasn't one at the end because I think the second half kind of suffered because the resolution was a bit of a cheat, you know, with the Tesseract and things like that. But it was it was.
I didn't like that.
I like the first half, and there were good ones in the second half too. But the opening 2-parters brings to my hand, like the Doctor's Wife as well. I think they were really good. It was dark, and I felt worried for all the characters in it, you know, and the silence were properly scary.
I think the problem is that when you have a look at the series, you see Series 5, that was broadcast in April to about June, right? Mm-hmm. That's fine, so that's your standard as it always has been with Doctor Who. Then you move on to Series 6, and that, for the first time, is cut into 2 parts, right? Because they want to move it, they say at least, they want to move it to the autumn. Which I don't... Doctor Who was traditionally on during the autumn, yes. They like the idea that everyone will be in the homes, sort of, when it's dark, watching it. And I understand that logic, but I don't think it works for the revival. I think the revival is very much an April to July sort of time, and I'm glad that although they're not going to have it that time, it's now going to be back together as one full series, all in a continuous run. Yeah. Because Series 6 and Series 7 suffered heavily for it. You see, it's really good. Stephen Moffat's Doctor Who is really good up to the end of the first half of Series 6. After that, you have a few episodes here, a few episodes there, then a Christmas special, a few more episodes, another Christmas special. You don't know where you are. There's no structure. And Matt's run has suffered for it. It's suffered it's suffered in pace and it's suffered in storyline.
I think 7 definitely suffered because there was a bigger gap, the companions left, and I think overall 7 is my least favourite Matt Smith series. Yeah. Because of it's not really felt like I'm properly in it at all. But I think I did quite like the way they evened out the time in Series 6 because I mean it started in March. The end of April or something, and then it went to the start of the summer, and then it came back afterwards. I quite like that because see if they'd done that with if they'd done it in 2012, we would have got a series, and then if they'd done it in 2013, we would have only had a month to wait for the 50th anniversary. And whatever people say about timings of Series 7 for the 50th anniversary, I mean. I wouldn't mind the Series 6 one because then we don't have a huge gap between Christmas. We just, you know, and then after Christmas, there's not another
do a series gap. if they had to do a series gap, that you should do it the Series 6 way. Where you had it same year, but
they should probably write the resolution to their two-parter like in the middle, like before they come back to it, so they know what they're doing. I mean, you find this in Star Trek as well. Normally, the really good two-parters are the ones that are sort of in the season rather than sort of crossing over. Some are good, but I think what would be good is if they knew what they were doing. If the writing was still consistent after the break, that'd be fine. But I would probably like to have another go at the Series 6 time scale thing. Quite like that. And I'm fine with a full run of 12 or 13 episodes this year, so I don't really mind.
Okay. So, I think that's bringing us to a close, isn't it?
What do you think? So, I mean, a lot of people have opinions about this, and you always go on Twitter and Tumblr.
And it's all
people chat
speculation
about
at this
it.
point. We don't know officially what we're going to have over the next set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Unless you know something we don't, Sugar Angry.
What? Sorry?
Oh, you sniggering in the corner there.
No, I was sniggering at.
You're in a little corner. You're making a smirk and like, I know everything.
No, it was.
You have connections. You do know things. You have glimpses
Yeah,
of the
okay,
past about
you're like
this.
one connection.
Well, hang on. Well, I've not seen
You
Rob
should really milk that for all you can get.
I've not seen Rob Sherman in 2 years, and I've not seen Stuart for a few months. So once I do that, I promise I'll tell you guys in secret, okay?
It'll probably be after the air date, and we'll already have seen them.
For the end of this, shall we all get our screwdrivers and point it at the camera?
Have you got your screwdriver on you?
I've
Also,
got
John,
mine here.
apparently, John, according to my someone who's watching this, you look like Carl Urban.
Who?
Carl Urban. Here we go. Got my screwdriver.
No, never mind. Never mind. Forget I said that.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to some other updates. Luke, you've recently been releasing some videos from Unity.
Yeah, the new Star Trek Unity episode's out. It's called The Worlds of Deep Space Nine. It's one of our longer ones. It's 35 minutes, and I'm pretty happy with it, generally. It was a bit of a slog editing it, but so far so good. More releases definitely this year, including the long-awaited Planet of Raquel, which was supposed to come before the DS9 one, and in the canon it will have happened. But I wanted to work on that a bit more. And I'm bringing back What Really Grinds Your Gears this year as a series.
And where do people have to send their comments to?
That is yet to be determined. I'm still setting up the series, so to speak, but I'll be giving you all the details as they happen. But yeah, Unity is happening big this year. It's probably our last full year doing Unity, and it's going well. So check out on Gateway Productions, youtube.com/Gateway Productions, The Worlds of Deep Space
Link
Nine.
in description.
Yeah.
Luke, how goes your video series? Any further with your production?
Not really.
You've had your Christmas break.
I have had a Christmas break. I think the way things have shaped up, I don't think we'll get a full movie. I don't think we'll get any more than the scene we've already got due to cast availability and whatever. But the scene I've got, I am very happy with. I've not finished that yet, but I'm going to aim to get that finished and that one up on YouTube because I'm proud of that, because that kind of shows how I've been. 3 minutes.
Oh, that's still a pretty impressive achievement for your first run.
Well, it's better quality than usual, I'd say. There was a proper script, and I was quite happy with the cast I had. But a good cast, obviously, they'll have different time arrangements or whatever. So, but I'll try and get that scene uploaded, and I'll see how that goes. I'll see if I can get the effects finished on it, because I'm quite proud of it. I think it shows how I've matured as a filmmaker. Or something poetic like that. Don't ask me.
Well, because I mean, I've been watching. You've done sort of little test clips and that. You firing phasers and that sort of thing, and that's fine because you're developing your effects skills certainly. So it'd be really good to see
Yeah.
a full-length thing, so to speak.
Well, to be honest, as I said before, I don't think we'll really get any more than what we've got already because of cast stuff, people being available or whatever. But at least what I'm happy with is the scene we got is it had story to it. It had a script, it had characters, it had cast, and it did have effect shots and whatever in it. So it had fun stuff, and it's a bit of a challenge for me. It's hard motivating myself. I've not really done it in a while, rather guiltily at that. But it's I've had good fun filming it and everything. But I think that's kind of the extent of what it'll go to. I will, if I'm on the data stream, around the time it's out, I can, I don't know, release a preview clip or something for John to throw at our audience. So up to people. But that's basically what I've been up to.
Okay. And with the comments currently flying around in the live stream chat, just to answer that quick question of how do I not know who Carl Urban is because I have not actually seen the Star Trek reboot. I have not watched Lord of the Rings in quite a long time. I have not watched Riders of Rohan.
This is the first I've heard of this. Why have you not watched the Star Trek reboot?
I just have not got an opportunity to.
It's been out for like 4 years.
I've been busy.
You've been very busy. Get it on bloody DVD. It's great. It's fantastic fun. You'll probably look at it and think, "Oh, this is not canon. Oh, this is not canon." But it's great fun. It's worth watching.
Sci-fi action. It's a good film. It's not completely Star Trek, but it's good fun. Yes.
Well, it is technically canon, but it's a bit different. It's not a reboot as such, actually. But it's
good thrown in the cupboard somewhere.
Yeah, get it, and Into Darkness too.
So, let's move on to some final updates. I'm going to be heading back into space with a new Let's Play. We recently had Hype the Time Quest. We're going to head back into the land of mods with the sequel to Colony 7, A Gate, Two Birds, and the Beautiful Sky.
Yay!
What a great mod! I gotta say, it's a great mod.
That's just how I can get through the Klingons on the first level. You can follow my progress on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/JF Media Studios, or just click onto our website, jfmsn.co.uk.
You know the Klingons in that first mission. I didn't know that I had a phaser and a compression rifle on me, so I was trying to kill them with a bat Can you imagine?
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. that's the honourable way to go.
I think an interesting topic we will be covering in a future data stream is talking about some of these great mods, and I'll see if we can get in some of the mod creators to come and join us to discuss their greatness.
That'd be good.
If we could get somebody from the colonists team, and I think somebody from the Starbase 11 team, that could be quite interesting.
Oh, I love that mod. That's probably not my favourite mod, but probably really up there, like second or third favourite mod. Love it.
That's some of the ideas we got for future data streams. If you got any more, of course, please leave us some comments. And remember to like, subscribe, follow the data stream either on YouTube or through your podcasting service, which we're going to be on very shortly. Also, remember we have a Facebook page, and you can see all the links just here. We've got facebook.com/JF Media Studios. On Twitter, we are at JFMSN UK. And of course, we've got our main website. So,
shall we Sonic
until next month, where you can watch us live again at 7 o'clock GMT PM. This has been the Data Stream with me, Luke, and Luke.
Bye. I'll be Geronimo.
See.